Hi, welcome back to another episode of Baking Geek. This episode is also brought to you by, if you can see that on the screen, Basic Ingredients, a local company that I buy my flour through. Also, the owner, Virgil, very good friend of mine, he's supplied me with this baking peel for baguettes. Also this lovely cush that we'll be proving our baguettes in very shortly. Okay, so also, you know what he supplied me with? This gorgeous flour. Look at this. This is Italian flour using Manitoba wheat from Canada. Now, if you're in need of baking supplies, look him up online. That's at basicingredients.com.au and you'll find everything you need. He's got everything from Dutch ovens through to exotic types of flours like this. This one comes in at 14%. It's fantastic for what we're doing today. So we're making baguettes, okay? What we're going to do today, we could do it sourdough, but I'm going to use the yeast for this one. We're going to use a poolish method, okay? So what we're going to do is, this will start out the night before, say, you plan on doing it. So what we're going to do is going to get 100 grams of flour and 100 mils of water and a tiny smidge of yeast. You know, like I'm talking not even half a teaspoon, probably a quarter of a teaspoon of yeast, and that will be enough. Once that rests overnight and continues to bubble away overnight sort of thing, the yeast will expand basically. So it takes away the need to use as much yeast as you would normally, say. Okay, so we're just going to mix 100 mils of water. Hang on, can you see that? No? Okay. Pull that down so you can see what my hands are doing. Okay, so we're going to mix 100 mils of water with 100 grams of flour and a tiny smidge of yeast, as I said. And you're just going to bring that together with a scraper. Most people will have one of these about their house. Very handy. And you don't want to overwork it, you just want to bring it together like that and sort of just press it in. Yep. And once that flour has sucked up the water, it's all good to go. Just scrape that off. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover that with some cling wrap and we're going to leave that for about 12 hours. Okay, so here's one I prepared earlier. Okay, let's talk about the ingredients next, what we're going to do. Okay, so it's 12 hours later. I've got another 400 grams of flour. I've got a little bit more yeast, maybe about half a teaspoon of yeast. Look, I'm really emphasizing the fact that you don't need a ton of yeast. Like normally when you use yeast in bread, if you were using dry yeast, say, you would use that at a 1% ratio. We're not even using 1%, we're using maybe 0.2 of that 1%. Okay, so the poolish method will help you to be able to get the same result as a lot of yeast. It just doesn't give you that yeasty smell and yeasty flavor in your bread. You really want the flour to come through, and this method is built for that basically. Okay, you will get the same result and the same rise, all that sort of stuff, okay, without that horrible smell. Okay, so let's get into it. I've got a mixer here today. You can easily do this with your hands. Right, so once again I'm going to use a beater instead of the dough hook. It's just quicker, it just brings it together quicker. So I've got my 400 grams of flour. I've got 10 grams of salt because we didn't use salt in the original poolish. Okay, and you do need to account for that. Optional ingredients which I'm using today is I'm using a little bit of diastatic malt. It's okay if you don't have that. You can actually pick that up at Basic Ingredients as well. But you can use sugar. Just use a tiny bit, not even half a teaspoon. Just a little bit to kick that yeast bacteria along. And another optional ingredient would be ascorbic acid. Now you'd be using that instead of a bread improver. It's much more natural and much kinder on the flour. Okay, so I'm using both, and purely for speed basically. This, if you had more time on your hands, and you wouldn't need either of those really. Okay, so let's get that into the mixer. And today I'm going to go for 70% water content. So I've already got 100 mils in the poolish, so that will mean 250, okay, water that we're going to weigh up. Now, with the water, I always weigh my water. 250, spot on. 70%, which is actually quite high. If you were to do 70% in the shop, that would actually be considered a fairly runny dough. Most bakeries use anywhere from 50 to 55, but that's using shop ingredients as well, like bread improvers and all that sort of thing. But we're not going to do that. The dough will come out quite firm, don't worry about that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to bring it together on the mixer. We're not looking at developing the dough in this stage, okay? Mixing, mixing, mixing. I just want it to bring it together. Okay, we're just about done. And there we go. One thing I don't want to do is overdevelop my dough. Throw that over there. Okay, so here's our bowl. Let's just bring it down. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish off that mixing process with this scraper and just make sure it's in a nice ball like that. Okay, now like I said, we're not going to develop the dough right here, right now. We're going to let this rest, and after about half an hour's rest, we're going to come back and we're going to work the dough. That will develop the dough. I'll probably give it, I'll say 2 workings. And then we're going to put it in for its bulk proof stage, which is going to take a couple of hours for that bulk proof to get those nice flavours and get that mellowness out of our gluten. Okay, so back shortly. Okay, so it's been roughly about 30 minutes. Our dough's been resting, and now we're going to start to develop it. Okay, so what you want to do is wet your hands up. Okay, we'll pull the dough out. Okay. Feel it, the gluten has started to develop. Okay, so you want to just give it a bit of a working. Hang on, I'll pull this down. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to fold it in on itself, give it a working like that. Maybe backwards and forwards a little bit. Okay, there we go, shape it into a nice ball, and we're going to let it rest some more. We don't want to overdevelop it. We're going to come back to that in about another 5 minutes. We're going to do that again, and then we're going to leave it proof. Okay, so it's been about another 5/10 minutes. Okay, so we're going to give it a second working, and then we're going to put our dough to sleep for a couple of hours, and then we're going to come back to it, and for its final proof, basically shape it and put it into its final proof. We're going to use the kush today, and yeah, let's get into it. Just bring that down. Just a bit of water on the hands again. Okay. Now you can really start to feel the dough is really starting to develop. You can use a lamination technique, which is like basically you splay it out like this, and then you just do a third fold, and then again, and then basically that should do it. This flour feels insanely good and insanely strong. It's really taken a good working. Okay, and then we're going to put it away for its final proof. Oh, not its final proof, it's intermediate proof, so we call this bulk fermentation stage. All right, back in about 2 hours, folks. Okay, folks, we're in the final phase of our shaping now. It's been a couple of hours of our bulk proof stage. Now we're going to pull our dough out. So we've got our dough in our bowl here that's been proofing. Okay, let's get it out. It feels sensational. I'll tell you what, this is going to be good. Okay, now I'm going to pull the camera down so you can see what my hands are doing, and I'll explain the whole shaping process and how it should look afterwards. Okay. Right, so we've got our kush here ready. So for this recipe, it's roughly 500. Well, it is 500 grams of flour. What we're going to do, we're going to cut this into. We're going to get 4 really nice baguettes out of this one. So we'll just go into 4 like that, and we'll just push these ones to the side for the moment. Okay, and we'll concentrate on one at a time. Now what you want to do is just pull it out like that. You don't want to knock all of the air out of it at this stage, okay? So we're just going to fold the front over like that, and with your 2 thumbs you're going to try and form a straight line basically with it. And we're going to roll it up like that. And then we're going to taper the ends off. Now, what you're looking for, hang on, just going to get a little bit of flour on the hands here, a little bit of flour on the bench. That's better. What we're looking for is a really nice straight line down that runs down your baguette like that. Still a bit sticky. That's okay. Okay. We're just going to get a little bit of it like that. And I'm just going to, right. And then just roll it out to the nice shape like that. We're going to get it into our cush. Pull the sides of the cush up. And in a normal bakery, you'd use like a tray for this sort of thing, but traditionally, this is how it's done. Okay, so a little bit more. Just flour the hands up a little. If the dough's a bit on the sticky side, that's okay. We're going to splay this dough out. And we're just going to roll it up nicely like that. Repeat this process about 4 times. I can already tell there's a lot of bubbles in here. That's great because it really creates that really nice open texture that we're after. So we can see that the line is nice and straight down there like that, and we're going to put that up like that in the cush for its final proof. A bit more flour. Splay it out a little. Fold it in on itself. Okay, like that. Finish off with a nice pointed edge at the end and into the cush. We can hear the neighbour's dog barking. Not exactly my neighbour, it's over the road. He's featured on a couple of my videos so far. Anyway, let's go. Last one. Wow, there we go. Okay, that's a nice pointy one. Okay, just pull the cush up like that. Look, they don't need to be perfect, folks, but, you know, like we're after that really rustic style. Okay, so what we're going to do is leave them in the cush just like that. Okay, so at the end of it, you should have 4 nice ones that look like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to proof them for their final proof. I'll just stick something against that side, it keeps falling down. We're going to final proof them. It might take about 3/4 of an hour, something like that. And we're going to stick, let's have a look. Okay, we're going to stick them in a really hot oven. I'm going to crank this thing up to about 250, and that's fan forced. And we're going to bake them for about 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, we'll be back when they're ready to go in the oven. I'll talk you through the process then. Okay, we're back. So we've got our oven preheated and we're ready to put our baguettes in the oven. Okay, exciting times. We've got our bread lane. We're going to make some cuts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, right. So we've got our cush here and these baguettes are proved up beautifully. Look at this. We're going to get our bread peel. We're going to just turn them slightly. And then just lay them down like such. Oh, they're a little bit sticky. I probably should have used a little bit more flour. Hopefully without deflating them too much. Okay, so turn them out onto your peel and then just roll them out onto your silicone paper. Okay, once they've done that, you're going to get your bread lane and you're just going to score them lengthwise. We're going to be very well proved, these ones. And that's to allow some expansion during the baking process. Okay, so once you've done that, you can load them into your oven at a very hot temperature. Like I said, I'm using 250 fan forced, so whatever suits it for you. You can use static bake or fan forced. I'm going to load them in. I'm going to give them a squirt of water as we head in, just so there's some steam, and we'll see you when they're out. Bye. Okay, so we're back. It's been about 23 minutes actually. I'm going to cut it shorter to 25 minutes. I've had a bit of a costume change. I dirtied my shirt up. So let's have a look at these baguettes. Right, I'm using a tray as a peel. Ooh, check for the steam. Wow, okay. Let's have a look at these beauties. Have a look at these. Oh, they're crusty. Yeah, everything you like in a baguette. Look at that, that's beautiful. We're going to do these up with some beautiful ham and cheese and some nice mustard, all that sort of thing. Okay guys, if you enjoyed the episode, hit the subscribe button, hit like, do whatever you want. See you next time, bye.